in my intro, I'm going to say, that, come on, it's Saturday night, let's get stuck in. I think that's when we open and then we start talking about them.
Why don't we say it's Saturday night, let's get stuck in? I mean, it's very easy to say.
Right, okay.
For years.
Yes, okay. Do you want to open the first one now?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to say, so I tell you what we've started with. It's Rennashort Hall. It's from Derbyshire. It's a vintage Cuvée 2017, and it's the first wine for me of English Wine Week. If I can get it open, and I bet I can. I don't think any bottle's ever completely defeated me. Here we go. Here we go. Thank you, Derbyshire.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Mine's perfect as well.
Ooh. Mine is perfect also.
It's that moment when you think, shall I put my nose in and get froth all over my nose, or shall I just be patient for a few more seconds?
Just be patient for a few more seconds.
This is one of my favorite glasses. I know that wine buffs absolutely hate stuff like this, but this was given to me on my wedding day, and I shall drink from it until it cracks into 1,000 pieces. So,
it's actually my wedding anniversary today, Oz.
Kieran?
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Cheers, cheers to you.
Yes. Here's to the start of English Wine Week, and here's to Kieran's wedding anniversary.
Absolutely correct. In no particular order. So what have you got planned afterwards? Have you got a steak waiting for you, Kieran, or creme brulee or whatever?
There is some steak and ready to go, yeah.
Excellent.
Charlie, so tell us about this, about how you got involved in this English Wine Week, and what. Tell us why we're doing this, because I love the idea that we actually go from the top of England right to the south. So you've got the most northerly winery, you've got the most southerly winery, and another half a dozen, another 4 in between, and just to show that this English wine revolution is not a joke. Stuff can be made brilliantly from almost within sight of Hadrian's Wall to almost within sight of the Scilly Islands down in Cornwall, and everywhere in between.
Well, it's like a sort of we are a wine growing nation on our own, and it's so many different styles, so many different soils, all on our sceptred isle. You know, that's so different. And I think also, and I think it's so exciting that people aren't going to go away this summer, and I think the opportunity for people to visit these English vineyards, go along for a couple of days, stay in a B&B, and have a bit of a trip round. It's absolutely perfect.
And that's what I think. I think this whole thing about local if you can, but it doesn't have to be local. The lovely thing is on the whole of this week, actually, it's wonderful. English Wine Week is 9 days long. It's not 7, it's 9 days long.
Oh,
it's almost French Revolutionary long. They had 10-day weeks, I think, to try and get rid of Sunday. But the point is, if you've got somewhere local, do go and visit it.
Yeah,
and if you don't have somewhere local, think about, as you say, go to a B&B, check into a pub, go and do some vineyard visits, begin to get English wine into your soul, begin to get English wine into your veins, because honestly, as people who haven't been to an English vineyard and haven't realized what a wonderfully beautiful country we have, and the vineyards are making it more beautiful, not less. I think that they're missing a trick. And once you've been to a few of those vineyards, be it in Derbyshire or Leicestershire or Gloucestershire or Kent or Sussex or Hampshire, once you've been to a few, you will just long to drink more of those wines, because it's to be honest, it's the same if you go to a vineyard in France, you go to a vineyard in Germany or Italy. The ones you've been to are the ones that you love most, and the ones that there's an emotional response, because wine is about people, it's about places, it's about the sunshine, it's about the wind and the breeze on the hill, it's about the cafe at the turn in the road at the bottom. It's about so many different things, as well as the taste. And sometimes the taste is not as important as the experience of the place.
I entirely agree. I entirely agree. Because so many places, vineyards I've been to around the world, you get a different level of sort of enthusiasm. I mean, there's certain places you go to in Champagne, it's so which bus are you on? You know, how many people are in your group?
That's not like that in England.
Absolutely
not.
not.
I bet it's but not like that at Renishaw. Now, this Renishaw, I think it's a fascinating operation because this was actually planted by this chap called Sir Sacheverell Reresby Sitwell. Now, I thought there must be no one else in the whole history of the world who's ever been called Sacheverell, but it seems that each generation the sons are called Sacheverell. There's an excellent food writer called William Sitwell, and he's William Sacheverell Sitwell. But Reresby, surely no one's ever been called Reresby before or since. But anyway, Sir Reresby, as he seems to have been called, had a place in Tuscany, I think, went to Italy, and thought, oh, what a great idea. Why don't we actually have a little corner of Italy in North Derbyshire? And from what I can make out, he actually brought back Italian vines and he brought back an Italian winemaker. And I have to say, the idea, he put Trebbiano, I know he put Trebbiano in, and if he put things like Sangiovese in, Sangiovese is tough enough in Tuscany.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knows what it was like in Derbyshire. And Trebbiano is famous for keeping a searing acidity even virtually in the middle of the Sahara Desert. So I'm astonished it ever became liquid, let alone drinkable in Derbyshire. But I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think that the idea that it was the most northerly vineyard in the world in the Guinness Book of Records until 1986 is also a lovely idea. It's 53 degrees and a bit north, but the crucial thing to me seems to be that it's in a walled garden. Because I've been in other walled gardens, places like Ickworth, near Bury St Edmunds, where they had a beautiful walled garden. And you walk into the walled garden, the temperature completely changes. Now, I believe it's supposed to be 1 degree warmer in the walled garden than further outside. It feels like 10 degrees warmer. You can feel the sweat breaking out on your brow. I was in Mount Stewart in Northern Ireland last year. Same thing. Winds and sort of gusts all around us into this walled garden, and suddenly you could be hundreds of miles further south. So I can absolutely see why that he would come and think, I can ripen some grapes. I just think he probably chose the wrong ones, and I'm not at all sure. I have read actually that his daughter said that the wines initially were far better for cleaning the hooves on the horses than they were actually to drink.
What do you think of this wine?
As a classic English sparkling wine, it's absolutely delicious.
Yeah, this is a great way to start English wine week. Oz, you're a golfer. This is a bit like when you get your driver out on the first tee and smack the ball down the middle for 270 yards. Knowing you want to savour that experience because it may not happen again for a very long time. But, okay, Oz, I think let's move on to the rosé, shall we?
But just think about it for a moment. This is a really beautiful sparkling wine, and part of it is Sauveur Blanc, and Sauveur Blanc is a grape which a lot of people are quite rude about in England. And again, I just think don't be rude about the grape. It's one of those grapes that has England is its place. It has a particular slightly apple peely flavour, but this wine, the Renishaw, has been made with such skill, and it's just managed to get that lovely the creaminess, which happens when the yeasts all start breaking down, and you know how yeast is a creamy, slightly sour, creamy kind of texture. Anyone who knows about bread making will know exactly what I mean.
Yeah. And
this one has got perfume, it's got creaminess, it's got lovely acidity, and it's got utter drinkability. And I would say, well done, Renishaw, for this wine. So
absolutely. So, moving on to the walled garden rosé, slightly sort of darker in colour than because we're all sort of told that the lighter the colour, the better the rosé. This hasn't got that sort of pale Provence colour to it. But I think it's
because
a lovely.
We've been told that, and it's not. It's very.
Oh yeah, that's what we're told. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's what we're told because those are the people who've got tons and tons of money to promote their Provence rosé brands.
Absolutely.
It's interesting. Elizabeth Gabet, who knows more about rosé than anybody else, she was saying only this week that the shortage of Provence rosé is a good thing because it means everyone can now go and drink rosés from further west in France, which have got about twice as much flavour.
Well, drink English rosé. English
Okay, let's
rosé.
see what this one's
I
like.
think,
Oh,
I
that's
think
a nice colour.
English rosé, a step behind English sparkling wine is I think we got fruit perfectly suited for it. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think
I would
think
agree.
you're completely right, and I think that we should be making more top quality roses than we are. And I'm hoping very much in the next few years we're going to have to make more top quality rosé, because the point about something that this one shows, and all the others will show as well, is in 2018 and 2019, millions of grapes have come in which can't be made into classic method sparkling wine, which takes 3, 4, 5 years to sell. Cash flow means they've got to make something fresher, and cheaper, and easier. And rosé, all that Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier has been planted, still rosé. I really hope that 2019 and 2020 are going to show still rosé taking off in quality, because we should make some of the best rosé in Europe.
Okay, so lovely nose to it, and that's real quaff. That's a good.
Extremely nice.
Yeah,
it's very, very fruity. It's got a little bit of a rasp. You can taste quite a firm acidity running through the wine. There's no muscat in this. It's the black Hamburg, or you're raiding the glass houses.
I've got about 600 kilos of muscat, which ends up in here. So 600 kilos
from the greenhouse.
Yes,
one of the best smell memories of my whole childhood was our greenhouse at home. We used to grow black Hamburg grapes, and the Savoy used to come down once a year and buy them off us. And just before they were sold to the Savoy, I'd walk in there, and the air was almost difficult to breathe. The smell was so sultry and thick and scented, just fantastic. Well, this is very nice. This.
Well,
it's not much fruitiness, but it's very nice.
To sort of make sure we're still just going at not quite a gallop, but a bit of a canter. We're going to now move across to the A1, past the Angel of the North, and we're going to Gateshead. We're going to Gateshead.
Yep.
That one was a bit perky. And we're going to try the wines from Lane End. And the first one we've got... Laneberg, which is a wine made in Gateshead.
Got it.
Our first Geordie sparkling wine.
This looks
Mortal Angel.
This looks really cool. Firstly,
love it.
This is really cool by putting
Crown
a
top
on. I mean, this will go down well in East London. Or maybe it's not quite cloudy enough for East London. Let's have a look.
The quick question while you're opening that, if you can do both. This is from Robert Searle in Bristol.
Yeah.
What proportion of English wine is sparkling?
Champagne method, classical method, over 70%.
70%, yeah.
Yeah, over 70%. And there'll be more stuff made by cheaper methods coming onto the market this summer. So I would say that it could well be 75% by this summer. And in terms of reputation and in terms of what the world thinks we do, you might say, well, it might be more like 80% in a year or two's time. Of course, Champagne, that French winemaking region just over the channel, it's about 99%. So in a funny sort of way, the fact that we don't have any regulations yet, and we can actually do whatever we want, is a great strength. So long as we take it carefully, the fact that, this wine here, it's the first Geordie sparkler. I love the name, this Mortal Angel, because I know what mortal means on the tongue.
It's fabulous.
Mortal,
so this is 100% Bacchus.
Mortal means clattered. It means if you're getting mortal, you're getting clattered. You're getting hammered.
So whilst this is 100% Bacchus, which Bacchus, Roman god of wine and good fun, which is what we're all trying to do. So Bacchus is it's a sort of the English Sauvignon Blanc, isn't it? Really?
No, this one is Seyval. The Mortal Angel is Seyval.
Is it right?
No.
Yeah, sorry. It's the sixth one.
But you made it's a good point you make, because Bacchus is extremely good to make into this kind of fruity sparkling wine anyway. I think the point is that these a carbonated wine is cheap to make. You virtually, you get a bicycle pump and pump in some CO2, bottle the thing here, sell it as fast as you can. And look, that's got very nice bubbles in it.
Cheers.
Smells nice and fresh.
Yeah. And these grapes actually come from Leicestershire.
Taste delicious.
Yeah.
They come from Loughborough. And the important thing about that is that the Jurassic limestone, which is exactly the same limestone as Chablis has got, for instance, and Sancerre and all these people, it comes across the English Channel and turns up at Portland Bill down in Dorset, and then a great swathe of it runs up through the Cotswolds and through Gloucestershire, and it runs across Northamptonshire and Leicestershire and areas around Lutterworth up to Leicester, along to Loughborough. Those areas, they're all on this. This is on clays and flints, which overlay an enormous bed of limestone, and that limestone goes right on up to the Tees. It'll go up to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, well,
and the chalks.
You're mentioning sort of towns that you associate with totally different things.
But East Yorkshire, with global warming and climate change as it's happening at the moment, East Yorkshire, in terms of soil, has got some of the best soils in the whole of England. One would hate to say this because it would have.
I mean, that's where the best rhubarb comes from, of course.
At Wakefield.
Wakefield, yeah. Now moving on to the still wine.
Charlie, before you do, what's the sparkling like? Was it like?
I think it was very good. Very good indeed.
The lovely thing about it is it's not massively ripe.
No.
It's got a really now this is Seyval in a more traditional way. I thought the Renishaw managed to wrap the Seyval round probably with Pinot Noir or something and yeast. And make the whole thing into I could have tasted that Rennashort Hall and not realised it was Seyval at all. This has got the
Mortal Angel is only 10% proof as well, I think, and I think that's quite important. I mean, that's a sort of wine that you could drink at a reception or a party, thoroughly enjoy, and you could have a couple of extra glasses of it. 10%.
You're talking about the Geordies here, so of course they would have a couple.
Well, I know they'd have plenty. Yeah.
But the point about it is acid edged. It's supposed to be, and I think
very well
really
made. I love that.
And that level of bubble, not so much bubble, is probably better than having more bubble. I think it's very. So nice.
Let's move on now then to the Bacchus, the still wine from Mortal Angel.
I'm very excited about this wine, so I look forward to hearing what you guys think.
Right.
2019.
Whilst you're opening that, I had a question from Lucy Robson. Where was the rosé from? You tried to start.
Rennashort Hall.
Rennashort Hall.
Rennashort Hall, the rosé.
Rennashort Hall. So that's all Derbyshire grapes.
Yeah, all Derbyshire grapes.
So that is 100% estate grown. Am I right? Along with 600 kilograms, was it, of black muscat from the greenhouse when the head gardener wasn't looking, and it's got things like Madeleine Angevine and Rondo, that strange Rondo grape. Another of these grapes that Rondo can be pretty fierce down in Sussex, but shove it up in Derbyshire and it can be positively elegant and delightful.
I think that's one of the beauties of the English wine world, and that you can grow things in different parts of the country which are ideally suited. So things like Madeleine Angevine, which are possibly too ripe now in the south, in the Midlands and the north, absolutely perfect.
You go up to someone like George Bowden at Leventhorpe.
Absolutely.
Madeleine Angevine is an absolute delight. And the other Yorkshire guys probably do it as well. I have just smelt this. And if that is not everything that elderflower ought to be, then I need to change my nationality to Dutch on my passport, because that is exactly what I love.
I love this. This is great. I love this.
Exactly what some of the Bacchuses in 2018 were actually too ripe. And Bacchus is one of those German grape varieties, which lucky old Bacchus, it was called Bacchus rather than all kinds of umlauts and God knows what, which means that nobody can pronounce it. Bacchus is easy, god of wine, easy, but it's a sugar machine. And if you shove it in somewhere warm, it's a sugar machine. It needs slow ripening. It needs careful, it needs barely ripening. That's when Bacchus is beautiful, when it's barely ripe. And as soon as I haven't even tasted it yet, the smell just made me think, yeah, absolutely. Well done, Laneberg. I think this is smashing.
I think this wine's a one to watch for the future. I really think this could be a really big hit next year when the wine competition kick off.
I entirely agree.
And again, it comes from an area which we're only slowly getting used to, which is the Cotswolds. Poulton Hill is about a 3.5 hectare vineyard, established not long ago, but 2018. They virtually tripled their output by 2018. This one here is 2019. It's just near Cirencester. So again, you've just got the underbed of Jurassic limestone there, the Chablis limestone, the Sancerre limestone, the Cognac limestone. And I think that this is exactly what I want from a Bacchus.
And again, it's 10%. So, you know, it's I think it's a great wine. So we are now
English white wine, absolutely the epitome. Yeah. I hope to say that. I'd love to say in a blind tasting, you simply couldn't say it was from anywhere else but England.
So, Oz, what we're off to now, we're going down to deepest Sussex. Down to the Bolney estate, which I think is
that's just north of Brighton.
Just north of Brighton.
Lovely woman called Sam runs it, and she's got a very cool winemaker called Alex, and on the whole, they seem to get on. They make a good pair.
And I have to say, 10 out of 10 for presentation as well.
Yeah,
I think that's really spot on.
Oh well, that's one light bulb less in my ceiling anyway.
Yeah, well, I think
I think it was Charlie.
That's important.
The wine got so excited by seeing you on the screen that it just thought time to blow it.
It would.
It did blow its top. Now this Bolney one, I think Bolney is a tip-top operation. I think that what Sam says is that she says the warmest site in Sussex. Now, lots of other people might say, no, we have, but it's a good ask. She's on very sandy soil, deep sandy soil. It's protected from rain by the South Downs because she's just north of Brighton. When you're in Brighton, you hit the South Downs immediately. You have to get through the South Downs, and then you've got a flatter bit with gentle hills. It's exactly the same latitude at Bolney as Nightimber, a few miles further to the west.
Right.
So you aren't on the famous chalky soils. You're on sandy soils, and sand is warm. And at the moment in this country, we're still cool enough to want warm soils. So I think that the thing that Bolney can do is get a roundness and a ripeness and a gentle flavor to their wines, which other wineries don't always manage. And this is 90% Pinot Noir. She reckons she makes more Pinot Noir than anyone else in the country, and she may well. And this is 10% Pinot Meunier, which is the other famous dark grape from Champagne. So we're talking about a lovely wine with a quite mature color. Now, I think the purists would divide between saying some absolutely love that mature color and some want it paler or pinker. I would say that there's a salmon quality to this.
Yes,
or the old thing they used to call partridge eye. That was one of those things, or onion skin, all these things that used to be regarded in it when everyone spoke French all the time as great compliments. This looks lovely to me.
Oh, a very quick question from Andrew from Chillingfold. Does chalk matter?
Chalk, if you say does it matter massively, if you want to have a wine which is influenced by chalk. The thing about chalk is it's very famous. A lot of the Champagne vineyards are on chalk. And consequently, when we say, hey, we can make wine as good as Champagne in the south of England, we've got masses of chalk in the south of England. So yes, it does matter, but it doesn't mean it's any better than the sandy soils. We've got a lot of a thing called green sand, and green sand is a warm sandy soil which occurs when the chalk has been washed away over the millennia by all hundreds and thousands of storms, and the green sand is underneath it. That's a rare soil in Champagne. It's also regarded as excellent in Champagne. We've also got gravels. Gravels are regarded as excellent. We've even got clays, which are not normally regarded as excellent, but somehow in the east of England, we make absolutely smashing wine off clays. Oh, and by the way, we've got limestone as well, which isn't the same as chalk. So in other words, coarse chalk matters, but please don't think that the best wines necessarily come from chalk. They don't. They're just different. This is beautifully mature.
Yes.
For only 3 years old. I mean, it's almost got a chocolatey creaminess about it. Absolutely delightful.
I've got a left field question from Adam from Duffield. If you had £500, are you better off buying 50 bottles for £10 or 5 bottles for £100?
I certainly wouldn't buy 5 bottles for £100.
No, I wouldn't.
Absolutely. No. I like drinking. I like having my friends around. I like having enough bottles so that we all have a good time. And a few friends and 5 bottles, no. And too many so-called really expensive bottles, they're not any better than the ones.
I entirely agree. And I think
I might say something like, what about having bottles at £20?
Yes, yeah.
But not at 100. No, I'm not into this.
£10 is really, I think, the minimum, particularly with all the excise duties and so on and so forth. £10 is, you're beginning to get quite a decent bottle of wine for £10.
Wine is not for writing about. Wine is not for sitting and marking out of 100. Wine is not for putting on your best bib and tucker and all sitting in silence while someone bores you to death about telling you the niceties of this, that, and the other. Wine is for having fun, having your friends around, and in this virtual world of ours at the moment, dreaming of the time that will come fairly soon, we hope, when all of us can hug each other again and kiss each other again and talk closely.
Okay, Oz.
That's what wine's all about.
All good stuff.
We've got another wine yet.
We've got another wine. We've got a Pinot Noir, which I'm really looking forward to because I'm a great Pinot Noir fan from all over the world. Apart from the obvious, the great Burgundies, which now seem to be becoming so terribly expensive that there are great Pinot Noirs being made, and it's a very difficult grape to grow, isn't it? Pinot Noir.
I tell you what. Well, I don't think it's half as difficult as they pretend it is. I think it's one of these classic examples that they spent 50 years saying, "Oh, you will not be able to grow Pinot Noir. Nobody can do it. You have to be from Burgundy. It is not possible." And actually, it may not be possible to make Gevrey-Chambertin, or it may not be possible to make Bolney. It's perfectly possible to make Sussex Pinot Noir, and it's perfectly possible to make Tasmanian Pinot Noir.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
possible to make South Island, New Zealand Pinot Noir. It just doesn't have to be Burgundy. And the French are brilliant at sort of saying, unless it's like our classic, it's not right. The Champagne guys have been doing that. It's very interesting in England how quickly we've actually got the confidence to say,
that's
we don't
lovely.
need to talk about Champagne. We are so good at what we do, and it's not quite the same as Champagne. And if it's not at all the same, that's fine. Burgundy, people still struggle a bit saying, but surely Burgundy is best. Well, is it? I mean, this Bolney, if you had a bottle of Burgundy at the same price as this Bolney estate from down in Sussex near Brighton, which would you like better?
Well, Oz, it's interesting because I do a lot of blind wine tastings for corporates, or I used to. And what I tend to do is pick a grape variety and then choose several different countries. And, if you look at the label and you see England on it, you're going to be less inclined possibly to buy it than if you see, France, because that's where you perceive where Pinot Noir is going to be at its best. And then when they try it blind, it's fascinating. I mean, I've done it with English sparkling wines, virtually always come out on top compared to Cava, vintage champagne, or whatever. But it's just our perception that English wine perhaps is, perceived to be a bit expensive. Because let's face it, you can buy these wonderful sparkling wines we've tried are in a shop the same sort of price as the champagnes that we all know. And somehow psychologically people are going to say, sparkling wine from England against Bollinger, they're possibly going to go for a bottle of Bollinger, aren't they? Psychologically. We know that's not right.
Yeah. Parties, we are talking here, all these sparkling wines we've had are real boutique wines.
Yeah.
These are making a few thousand bottles of these. This is the kind of precious stuff that they would charge far more for in Champagne. They'd be charging 60, 70 quid a bottle, maybe more for this in Champagne. We're charging half that. It's boutique wine. That's the wonderful thing about what's happening in English wine. The big boys are good.
Yeah.
And the biggest producers produce good to very good wine most of the time, and excellent wine when they feel like it. But B, there's so much growth, which is boutique growth. And boutique means I care about the vineyard. I care about every vine. We go up and down those vineyards. We know our place. We know the fruit we're getting. We want passionately to make it into the best wine. We have got that coming out of our ears in the English wine world. And I think that when the word gets across, the rest of the world in the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to be jealous of this wonderful, passionate commitment that we have in this country.
So, Oz, just to, I think, this is the first 3 wines that we've tried. We've got Kieran Atkinson from the English Wine Project has found us 10 wines. So we're live again tomorrow night for another session. So I think that we can safely say that we've had a great experience tonight, and it's been great to hear from everybody, and great to have a few questions coming in. And I don't know about you, Oz, but cheers, old boy.
Cheers, Charlie.
Cheers. God bless, and let's all remain forever thirsty.